I think, Larry, you're referring to the reclassification of Internet services as Title I services, first for cable and then for phone companies, okay? But that is, of course, not the legal premise on which most of the Internet was built. Most of the Internet, I mean, most of the dollars in the Internet, of the broadband Internet today, were not built under Title II. They were not. They actually were not. That is an empirical fact, and I'm going to tell you why, because I know where those dollars went, and I'll tell you under what title they got built. But let me start by quoting from somebody who thought I knew something about this some time ago. There was a restructuring of a core piece of price in the Internet. In fact, the most expensive parts of the Internet at that time, the broadband Internet at that time. The prices were radically restructured, and it was very controversial at the time. It was a big brouhaha, and this fellow who thought he knew what he was talking about was responding to the critics because he was in favor of this pricing restructuring. And I quote, he said, "They, the critics, assume anything different will be disastrous, but there has to be willingness to explore alternatives rather than to stick with someone else paid for it before and I don't want to pay for it now." Okay. He went on with one of his nice metaphors. "It is often misunderstood by observers that peering is somehow cost-free. Nothing could be more untrue." Now, you know who that was? That was Cerf. And you know what he was talking about? 10 years ago, in 1997, when he talked about that, there was only one broadband chunk to the Internet, and that was the backbones. Nobody had broadband at the end except very, very large customers who were buying private lines. For years, until 1997, your whole heyday of the Internet, the backbones just peered with each other. There were only a couple of backbones. There was a very limited backbone, and they peered. They just handed off traffic to each other. You take mine, I'll take yours. And it was economically unsustainable. It could not last. And we all know why it couldn't last. Because there were lots of little providers at the end who just wanted to funnel traffic into the backbone. And if they could peer with the big guys, nobody would pay for the backbone. But somebody had to pay for the backbone. The peer, all of the relationships between the backbone, and that's true to this day, by the way, all of the relationships between the broadband backbone of the network and the smaller guys who feed traffic into the backbone are Title I contracts. None of them are common carriage. All are privately negotiated, every single one. None of it, not one piece of it, is under this premise you say got reversed in 2005. It's not so. And just a second. And the backbone guys simply announced unilaterally one day, "We ain't doing this anymore. You're a little guy at the edges. We'll negotiate a contract with you. Yahoo can negotiate. Google can negotiate. eBay can negotiate. You want something into our pipe. Verizon, if you're feeding locally, can negotiate into our pipe." This was before Verizon had acquired MCI, and we'll work out a contract. By the way, there was a lot of arguing about this. Cerf was on the side saying, "It's nuts. We won't get any money unless we change our pricing structure." And all of the handoffs inside this network, all of the highest the broadest bandwidth components of the network today are Title I components. And by the way, since that change occurred in the last 10 years, the number of backbones has increased. We've got about 4 more. I mean, there's a huge investment in that area. Things have done just fine. This is a myth, you know, that it was all kind of Title II regulation. None of it was Title II. Virtually none of the broadband network was Title II. You've made that up, Larry. The dial-up network was Title II. None of the broadband network was ever, for any significant amount of time, Title II.
Peter,
just wasn't.
The whole debate about network neutrality is last mile, not backbone. It's irrelevant, that part of the debate, to this issue of whether we're going to have actual competition with provision of broadband at the last mile.
No, it's not.
And at the last mile...
No, because what you want to outlaw is Verizon's contract with Netflix.
No.
Wait, hold on. Larry, a moment ago, and I wrote it down, to be careful, you said you don't mind if Verizon negotiates with you or charges you a different price for a 100 megabit per second connection, okay? What you don't want, and I'm quoting, you're okay with this consumer level tiering, but you don't want, and I'm quoting you exactly, particular companies to be declared to charge different amounts. Now, first of all, you've created a dichotomy that does not exist in the Internet, which is that there's a world of consumers, peons, me, you, okay, and there's a world of particular companies. Boy, that's redolent of the 1930s. You have this vision of, you know, Google and eBay and big guys up there, and then, you know, that's not what the Internet's about at all. What you want to outlaw, what your law thing out there outlaws is Verizon not going to me. They already go to me. Say, you want Huber, you want 600 kilobits, you want a megabit, you want 5. Here are the different prices, and I happily pay the difference. That's already lawful, and you have written that you're in favor. You don't want Verizon to go to Netflix and say, look, 100 megabit per second to Larry Lessig is a meaningless concept. Speeds don't exist at a point network. They're end-to-end speeds. It's nonsense to talk of 100 megs to Larry Lessig. Larry Lessig wants 100 megs to Netflix, and that's what you want to outlaw. You do not want Verizon to be able to go to Netflix and say, look, we've got 30 million customers here, and we can, you know, we got to prioritize traffic at every switching point. We've got to put one packet earlier, another later. You know, what's it worth to you?